Hey guys, Ricardo here and welcome to another blog tech tips. Today I'll show you how to tell if your AirPods are real or fake. Alright, so I have a fake here and I also have a real one. Alright, so I won't tell you which is which, but I'll start out by distinguishing between them, how to see, and you'll be able to tell eventually. Alright, so the first thing you want to do, guys, in terms of your knowing, we're going to get straight into the video. Alright, so the first thing to know if your AirPods is a fake or a real is to go ahead and observe the hinge. Now listen to this. And you hear that solid click. Alright, so you hear that solid click. Alright, and it has a solid closing effect, meaning that hinge feels real strong. That's a clear indication that you have a real one. Listen to this one. You hear only a slight snap. Alright, so that's one of the first things. Solid hinge. Hear it again, and you hear that significantly louder, and of course you hear that satisfying snap. It's actually very fun to open these and you feel the quality. All right, next thing, go ahead and feel the box. You should have a raised texture. This one has no texture, and of course it feels as if that this is printed on. Third, make sure you go ahead and check the serial numbers. I'm not going to show you these serial numbers there on the side, and of course this is the base, so check here for the serial number. Go ahead and search for our Google serial number check for Apple devices, or check serial number for Apple devices. You'll be taken to a website. The address should have a Apple official website with a asking you to enter your serial number to see if that device is activated, and you'll simply type in that serial number. Whenever it comes up, make sure that it matches the product that you're seeing in terms of color and of course everything on the features. All right, and check to see if, of course, it's a activated device. And once it's activated, especially if yours is activated, do note they might use a mass-produced serial number, but of course, any information about it should be able to tell that it's yours. So, for example, where you have activated it, and you can actually look over the information and see if the color matches in terms of your AirPods and the type. If there's any discrepancy, usually it's either a serial that they have used repeatedly, or of course it's a fake. In terms of, you'll be able to tell using the serial number. If I place in my serial number, this will come up and I'll be able to tell that it's owned by me, and of course I'll be able to tell that it's an official Apple product, and it will match the product itself in terms of features. Next, and the box are very important. In terms of the box, check this out. I could simply easily open this. This one will never open. Apple has made sure that the process for the unboxing is very seamless, so I can simply go ahead and open this without much effort. This one causes a lot of issues. I probably have to force this to open. The printed material is high quality. This has some flimsy material. The font and the texture of the paper, this is very super white. This is kind of creamy, and of course the font is not perfect like Apple and clear. This one is not so clear. Also, the printed material looks faded and is not as bright as the Apple ones. The Apple ones are quite nice and well printed. Next, this, I do not know what this is. This is some flimsy plastic. All right. Here, I have a solid material here. It doesn't even come out. And of course, this feels real nice. And this is really, really good in terms of quality. This is something you keep. This is something you toss away. In terms of checking the serial number, we'll go to the site that says Apple Check Coverage. I usually use this one. It's not. I scroll down and I'll enter the serial number right here. All right, so I've run the serial number of the fakes. I'll blot out sections. However, it does say that they are AirPods 3. When they were presented, they did identify as 4 in terms of what the seller said. However, it says 3 on the box, and of course it says 3 here, so you have to be super careful. Still good to check these. It looks like it, and of course it has a purchase date, and of course the date is a little bit old, and it says the expiry date in terms of the coverage is in 2024, and it says it was purchased in 2023. That's not a problem. However, while it identifies AirPods, so you have to be very careful. If you take this serial number at face value, because they know people will check them. You see, I know these are fake, and of course it's showing here that these are actually AirPods 3. So still check the serial number. However, note that it might give some information. The color might be wrong, the type might be wrong as to what it is or what it says that it is in the box. So of course, if I were to use this now, I might think that it's real based on the fact that it matches the information on the box, but they'll just simply sorry about that. They'll simply replicate the number over and over and simply give a serial that they know that's connected to a real one that's activated somewhere, and it will be the same serial over and over. I will not reveal the serial though. Next thing, do they pop up when you open? So for example, if I open these up, they don't pop up. That's a red flag. However, be very careful. They are able to clone the signal as the real AirPods, and sometimes they do pop up, or you will see a notification indicating or identify them as AirPods. For example, notice with these fakes, they do show up here and they start playing for whatever reason. That's a red flag as well. The real ones only start playing when you place them in your ears. These, as soon as I take them out of the case, they start playing. Do not be fooled by features such as stereo head tracking bass sound. That's faked. It will not play, or you will not hear the feature. Although it says it's on, it will never sound that way. Second, they sound flat. And of course, there's very little bass. Also be warned, they do show up under settings in terms of they show up as AirPods. That's also faked or can be faked. These are locking in features, especially compared to the originals. This one has a few features, however, it even works in Find My. So of course, don't be fooled by that either. All right. Watch out for finicky information in terms of the widget, in terms of it can't decide what the levels are in terms of the buds, meaning that they fall very rapidly and they charge very rapidly. Also, watch out for random features popping up, such as any feature in terms of speaking, in terms of giving commands to the device, or anything that should not just simply pop up at random. Here we have voice control. I did not activate that and it simply started. Look for inconsistencies. For example, these are said to be 4s. Excuse me, I need to pause this. All right, not sure for the 3s, but for the 4s, this thing doesn't stretch all the way around. But notice there's only slight plastic here, and of course this bezel here is very long. This is the charging point, and these are very long. Next, check this out, guys. And you see the voice control there. I'll close this out. That's not supposed to happen. Next, you notice I can see on the inside here. That's not supposed to be the case. I'll show you the originals in a minute. This grill also has a little section here. Then there's plastic. This feels like it's sticked on and it's rubber. This feels weird. I'm not sure that's even is a grill or whatever it is. All right, so you can watch out for that. You're not supposed to be seen on the inside like that. All right, so these are the originals for ANC. Number 1, notice that this feels like a very fine sieve or mesh. Here, also the same, except it's very narrow. Here is such a fine mesh, I can barely see it. If I can see the mesh, something is wrong. It's so fine, I'd have to need a magnifying glass to see. Here as well, notice you can't see on the inside. This mesh is super fine. Check it out yourself. Also, notice the charge sections, they're very precise, and there's only 2. Doesn't stretch all the way around. All right, and there's a total of 3. 1, 2, 3. For the 4s, that is. There's text on the inside to here and to here, although that can be faked. Here as well is USB Type-C. There's a port here and a grill here. Now this is the ANC version. If this was a non-ANC version, it would not have this section here. Check out the originals when I open them up. There should be a pop-up each time. First time it should say for you to connect once you hold it close enough. And of course, if I were to open again, it would pop right up. They're very responsive. And of course, these things feel solid in the hand. These, which are the original ANC 4s, they pop up once you place them in the ear. So if I remove them from the case, that's the only time they'll pop up here, and they'll auto connect. If I tap, you'll notice I have all of these features. I have listening mode with all of these, and they all work, such as noise cancelling. So the features not only show, they actually work. Conversation awareness, if somebody speaks or I'm speaking while this is on, it will actually help. I can turn them on and off and I'll hear them. Same for this, as long as like I'm watching YouTube or something that supports it, this will become available. The real ones, once they're in the ear, they pop up here. You can tap here, you can see you have live translation here. You have all the features here, listening modes, and they're chock full of, that's a 4 of features. Serial information is below, and of course you can check through, and all of it will actually work, and every feature you can turn them on and off. The fakes do show up, but of course they're limited in terms of features, as you can see here. And the features tend not to work, they are just faked. Without removing them from the case, they are detected in these. Once the feature that's on for ear detection, they will only show up when they are placed in the ear for the 4s, although they say these are 3s. Also, in terms of the serial check that I showed you from earlier, make sure that you, sorry about that, I'll need to hide this serial number, I'm not going to show you. Make sure that the serial number on the box matches the serial number that shows up here. Go to settings, click on your name of your AirPods, or go to Bluetooth and click on the exclamation. A red flag that will give these up is that the serial number on the box versus the serial number inside of the phone, they do not match. They should match. All right, so in this case they place, I think, one on the box outside, but the one on the inside that the device detects, it's totally different. So that's a red flag right away. And while the one on the box shows a real AirPods 3 in this case, the one here, I'm not sure what it shows. I'm gonna check it now. All right, so I've run the serial number that I found on the device itself that is transmitting. It's different from the box. And of course, the one that's shown up in the device says that the serial number you have entered isn't valid. Please try again. Also, guys, something else I've noticed, if you tap on the serial number that's within the AirPods settings on the device control on the settings in your iPhone, I notice you can check the right and left ear. They both have serial numbers that you can actually keep track of, so you can uniquely identify your left and right ear. If you type in the serial number of one of the ears, it will say it's not found, so that's a red flag. So what I realized is that the number there that I had from before that I checked that failed was one of the earbuds, but I looked again by double checking, and I found that it does show up this time. So they do put a serial number. However, the serial number that's within the device is totally different from the serial number on the box. So that's one of the red flags. And make sure you check both the main serial number and the serial number of the pieces, such as the ears, or the buds, I should say. So tap on the serial number and it will give you right and left earbud plus the actual device. All right, guys, and let's wrap up. So of course, the sound qualities on the fakes suck. They're flat. They have little to no bass. In fact, I don't think they have bass. These are sound rich and of course good bass. When you hold these in hand, they almost feel the same, but the inch, as I said, tend to give them away. This one doesn't have a button for a 4. Since it's ANC, it has the speakers. This one has a legacy lightning port and a lightning cable, or USB-C to lightning cable. That makes no sense. Why would there be USB to lightning? It's usually straight lightning or straight USB. So that's the thing for that. And also for these, you'll find as well that these just feel way more premium. You do feel the features. You can actually test them out, such as the noise cancelling. These, they fake everything, and of course things doesn't work. This one is frustrating. This one is way smoother and more intuitive and simply work with your iPhone without much stuff like stuff popping up that randomly plays or some behavior that would not be reminiscent of Apple. All right, so that's it for the fake versus the real. If you have any direct question, you can ask them. I'll try to be as thorough as possible, but of course I'm sure you'll have some good questions, so you can ask them below. All right, so see you in the next one, guys. Bye.